Welcome to my podcasts called Discover Your Power, where you will learn how to release limiting beliefs, create abundance, and manifest the life you deserve and that truly works for you. My name is Jania Aebi, transformational healer, author, and coach. There is so much more joy, health, wealth, and success available to you when you get a true perspective on how life really works. I want you to have what you deeply desire, and these podcasts will help you find your truth, unlock your potential, and empower your life. Today, I would like to reassure you and tell you that even if the world seems to have problems, they are not here to stay if you, and by that I mean everyone who's listening to this and myself, if you are willing and able to acknowledge and accept that we are an integral part of that omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent single source of all things. Always connected to it, never separate from it, and as best we know how, acting from that knowledge. And so, there is only one of us, everyone responsible for our own actions. When we all do our bit, everyone benefits. Since we don't usually feel like being that divine spirit because we have problems, we could start thinking that whatever problem we have is only here as an opportunity to turn our attention to the spiritual aspect of us that never has a problem, identify with it, and ask for its love, its peace, its wisdom, and its power to surge through us and show us the best way to deal with the appearance that's confronting us. Not only when the appearance is so huge and overwhelming that you can't see any way out of the problem, and so you turn to God for a solution, but start practicing turning your attention to the divine in every moment of your life, whatever you happen to be doing. In every small, inconsequential activity where you have a difficulty in achieving what you set out to do, with sincerity, spend a moment connecting to the all-knowing source that obviously knows how it can be achieved, and ask for the insight or the knowledge to be relayed to you in the human spectrum of existence. When slicing tomatoes for dinner, instead of thinking of the problem your colleague at work told you about that makes you anxious, think who actually right now is slicing tomatoes. Without spirit giving you its energy, you would not be able to lift the knife, nor cut such nice, even slices. With your attention there, you might prevent a cut in your finger. When your thoughts revert to your colleague, send them a blessing of peace or joy or whatever they need, since there is nothing you can actually physically do to help them. Instead of feeling sad, the idea might come that a friendly phone call from you is what they need, and you do that, bringing them joy. The more you practice knowing that everything you do can only be done because of the energy of life that is pouring through you from spirit, the more you will be identifying with that spirit and expressing only it, and the more your personal life will reflect the goodness and wholeness of that spirit. Whatever you have ever achieved in life, from the time you were born, has been done through your attention being focused on what you wanted, not on what you didn't want. You learned to walk, to talk, to read and write. You learned everything you now know, making you the being you are, who's productive, efficient, valuable in so many ways and to so many people. And you never stop learning things that allow you to be more successful in your outer life, but have perhaps somewhat neglected the spiritual part of you, simply because it's not as visible as everything else is. But you've come to know it's no less real, or you wouldn't be listening to this talk. So now it's only a question of putting more of your attention on what it is your soul desires. Why did your soul incarnate as you? Because there is always a purpose to everything. So what is your soul's agenda for coming into visibility as you? Your soul's only agenda is to display all of itself into this world, and it has chosen you and chosen every one of us as the avenues through which it can experience itself, become visible in a way that is unique and individual, and no one else can ever or will ever express. What you are here to be and do, in line with your wishes and desires, is unprecedented, and your soul is fully supporting you. It has endowed you with all its qualities in potential and is willing for you to choose which ones to bring into this world. God is already manifesting itself as over 8 billion individuals, each of them unique and different from each other. And that's not counting all the animals, plants and rocks we have on the earth, and stars and planets and galaxies. Not one of them is exactly the same as another, and you are a part of this infinite diversity. Without you, the universe would not be complete. That's how important you are. We are called to live in two worlds and reconcile the two worlds within our consciousness. Even if the visible world is where we focus most, if not all, of our attention. One is a world of pure consciousness, potentials without any external manifestation, where we originate. The other, an appearance world which continually changes form until it sinks back into pure consciousness and emerges again as a different form. We are like the branches on a tree of life, and a physical tree expresses itself through all of its branches as leaves and buds, then flowers, then fruit, and each expression is never quite the same as another, having different functions. But everything serves a purpose. Everything is necessary and fulfills an appointed task. Spiritual life is all-inclusive, and nature is all-inclusive. There is no rejection of anything, and it's only us human beings who have free choice that judge things as bad, undesirable, unwanted, when clearly Spirit has no judgment and sees without the filters life experience has imposed on us. We created the shadows we reject, shadows of anxiety, guilt, shame, insecurity, stupidity, aggressiveness, which are just the opposite, or negative polarity of absolute worthiness, wisdom, safety, security, and peace, present in spirit. A negative polarity does not mean something's bad. In fact, it's absolutely necessary for life on this planet to work. Just as electricity must have a negative and a positive polarity in order for electricity to fulfill its function. If we rejected and got rid of the negative polarity in electricity, we would never have light in the light bulb, and we could never make toast, even when electricity is everywhere around us. Electricity needs a certain structure to focus it and make it useful. And all our so-called bad qualities are negative polarities of the good qualities, and just need a certain structure and a dose of love to make them our friends and allies. So, for example, if you think being angry is bad because as a child you had a parent that easily got angry and then punished you or even beat you, that was really painful, and you decided that being angry was a bad thing, and you would never be like that. So you grew up being nice and quiet, and never stood up for yourself, always allowed others to have their say, and it worked for a while. You had a more comfortable life. But there came a time when you started feeling you couldn't be yourself, that you've become a doormat, that others are too demanding and you never get what you want. You get bitter and resentful and sometimes explode with anger, and then you feel guilty and ashamed. All because anger has become a shadow for you. We've been taught to reject our seeming bad qualities. The anger, selfishness, insecurity, aggressiveness. Hide them, sweep them under the carpet, so they're not seen or heard. But exactly the opposite is necessary. We must look with an adult's eye at where they started and why they started. Look at how they've been helping us and protecting us from possible harm with the adult's spiritual awareness, that they are energy, and energy just is. It's neither good nor bad. Now we can accept anger as a part of us that will give us back our power to live the life we want, not one imposed on us by others. We need to understand and embrace and integrate anger, even thank it, for helping us to develop other parts of us that we really like and are proud of having. Our shadows have helped us to become the good person that we are, but must be understood, loved and accepted if they are to release all the gifts they still have for us. As we do this work of becoming fully aware of every shadow that comes up, we realize that our angry shadow, when loved and integrated, allows us to become more forgiving and peaceful, as well as access a level of power we never had before. Our arrogant shadow, when embraced, will make us humble and teachable. Our critical shadow will make us allowing and loving. And so, bit by bit, we reclaim ownership of the parts of us we never actually expressed, becoming more whole and complete. That's one of the ways through which we bring more of divinity into the world of form. And that is the reason for Spirit incarnating, so it could express more and more of itself into the world. The ancient Sanskrit word man means the bringer of divine gifts. We are not here just to bide our time until we can get back to heaven, back to God, back to where we think we will be happy forever, without pain or illness or problems. We can never go back to heaven since we never actually left. There is nothing that exists outside of spirit, so we must still be inside. We only think we have left. It's our perception that needs to be corrected. We are like the ray from the sun that sends out its rays to give life and light to this planet, to illumine all the dark places, and the rays are not on their way back to the sun. They infuse the qualities of the sun into everything they encounter to make it grow and prosper and flourish. That's our function in this world, and we can do it in any way we choose. And when you look at yourself in this way, isn't that exciting? You can bring love, joy, and harmony by looking after your children and family, through creating a business, through writing or dancing, composing music, or serving as a plumber, electrician, or the CEO of a company, a politician, or a teacher. There are infinite ways to spread the light of who you really are into the world. But you must remember to consistently turn your attention to the source of your being consciously. Fill yourself up with the love, the harmony, the peace, and the wisdom that's always present there. And through your attention and intention, focus it into yourself and then out into the world around you. You are never separate from spirit, that is the animating presence of your mind and body, even if often it doesn't feel like it. Your feelings don't tell you the truth. They tell you what you currently believe. Your beliefs are not telling you the truth either, only your current best guess or perception of reality. Instead of assuming that you are separate, you could just assume that you are always connected. That assumption must be the truth, because when you really think about it, the personal you, the body, becomes just a corpse without the ability to think, speak, or move once the you that is spirit withdraws itself from the overcoat of flesh that we normally identify with. So while you are alive and functioning, you are necessarily connected to spirit. As long as the you that is spirit stays in the overcoat, or in the personality, which also has consciousness, the more that personal consciousness is aware of spirit, the happier, more harmonious and abundant the life of the personality becomes. Not torn, stained, and full of holes, as it sometimes becomes. Our loving, conscious attention to Source cleans the wounds and mends the holes we have inflicted on our bodies. We can start the process of mending our lives and our bodies through prayer and meditation, which allows us access to spiritual insight and knowing of what we can do, or what we can stop doing, or do differently, to help our bodies renew and regenerate. Having spiritual sight is looking at the perfection of what is, not on what we like best, because likes and dislikes are just judgments and criticisms of what is. Spirit is all things in potential, and the potential is whole, perfect, and complete, as I've said many times before. Spirit incarnates in a body, becomes one with it, animates it, and when the personality is aligned with it, they can manifest whatever qualities of spirit they desire, consistently focus on and activate through doing. But when the personality focuses on the outward appearances of lack and limitation in the world or in themselves, which are the outpicturing of our belief in separation from Source, then we've put ourselves under the laws of cause and effect, where the outcome can sometimes be good, but often is what we would prefer not to have. And it's not our fault. We've been born into the world of duality, of beliefs in good and bad, and it's really difficult to see as God sees, not as we see with our eyes. It requires constant turning back to the perfection of spirit and not to our perception of how things appear. If we look at our perceptions, we keep recreating that limited perception. But if we turn our attention to the unlimited spirit and swim in the ocean of unmanifested potentials that are harmonious, beautiful, and perfect, and then, by our desire, draw them through the portal of time and space into our personal life, each time they will become better and better physical manifestations. When we look at the manifested world with our spiritual sight, that is, without judgment, everything can become perfection, because perfection has nothing to do with what we like best. Perfection is not the moralistic meaning of something that is good versus bad, which is in duality. Perfection in the realm of unity, of oneness, is a sense of being whole and complete. Like a circle, which is whole and complete if there is no interruption in its line, no pen stroke that is missing. The preferences of the personality don't come into the equation where spiritual sight is concerned. It allows every state of being to be exactly how and what it is, just as Source allows it to be. Then, even feelings we don't like, such as anger, resentment, illness, or pain, can be viewed as perfect expressions of anger, resentment, or pain. Remember, our feelings don't tell us the truth. Our thoughts don't tell us the truth. Our beliefs don't tell us the truth. They are judgments we've placed on energy, and energy, life, God are all synonymous and perfect, meaning whole and complete. How we use the energy and life given to us is a whole different thing, and it's totally up to each individual to use it as they want, whether constructively or destructively. Life, God, will never interfere with the choices you make, even if you decide to end this life without fulfilling the purpose Spirit had in mind when it incarnated as you. Source allows you to be and do anything you choose, and that is why you are responsible for everything that happens in your life, even when you say, I never chose to go bankrupt, or I never chose to have this disease. Every state we are in, every feeling we have, is a perfect expression of what that feeling or state is. And Source allows all of it, and is never touched by it. That's quite radical. And when very consciously we observe that feeling, anger, resentment, sadness, whatever it is, and allow it to be, if it is not an expression of truth, it loses its charge, transmutes, lessens, becomes more like its true nature. Sometimes we can even manage a laugh at ourselves when we feel so frustrated, then in the middle of it realize, this is a perfect example of what frustration is. And we observe ourselves being frustrated with an amused smile. And where now is your frustration? You, spirit, are not your feelings, since you can observe them. The more you become the observer of your life, the more identified with spirit you become, when nothing bad exists. It's always your judgment of the energy that's flowing through you that makes you feel bad. Whether we like what's happening or not has nothing to do with the fact that we're expressing the energy of spirit perfectly, the best we know how in any given moment. And as soon as we realize what we're expressing and it doesn't feel good, we can change that. Everything is part of the divine, because the energy underlying all manifestation is source energy, and therefore perfect. How we use that energy, how we express it into the world, is our responsibility. We are the directors of what that energy will look like, expressed into visible manifestation. That's the prerogative of our God-given free will. We are the only ones who can change how our world looks and how we experience it, through using the energy that's always flowing to and through us, either in alignment with spiritual laws or in defiance of them. God can only act down here through physical beings, and does not override our decisions on how to use divine energy. In the words of Wayne Dyer and Max Planck before him, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I trust this has been valuable and helpful. Do you want to know more? Then check out my website, www.janiaaebi.com, where you can find much free material. Don't miss any of these episodes by subscribing to this channel. And thank you for your willingness to explore more of the abundance life has to offer you. I love you and will speak to you again soon.